Hi everyone. Let me get this out of the way first. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching at home and on campus. And we're all grateful for all of the support you've given us over the last 2.5 years. We really wouldn't have made it here without you. Guys, it's been one heck of a ride. We finally made it here, even though we thought this day would never come. I want all of you to remember back to our first day of class, and we all sat there nervously in 102 as Dr. Craig introduced us to the program. And I clearly recall her saying that we would have to make physical therapy program a top priority in our lives, right up there with our, behind our family. And yeah. We all thought to ourselves, what are we getting into? But you know what? We took her words seriously, and we've been living and breathing the physical therapy program, for the last couple of years. I know some of you are saying that's just not true because I had a lot of fun while I was here. But I say that was all part of the program and part of becoming a physical therapist. I mean, sure, we spent countless hours reading hundreds of articles and, studying tens of thousands of slides, but we've done so many other things together. I mean, gatherings at Keswick or Jersey's organized by Christy after each unit, PT formals, basketball games during breaks, football and murder ball on the soccer field, Philly cheesesteak trips, sledding with our professors, parties for Halloween, Cinco de Mayo, St. Patty's Day, birthdays, or whatever other reason we could come up with, campfires, fantasy football draft, evenings in Manayunk, the first and second annual Man Day celebrations, a trip to New Orleans for combined sections meeting, trips to Guatemala, Jamaica, and Peru for pro bono service, dragon boat racing, the seasonal beer exchange, the wine exchange, which was at least a good try, I guess. Gatherings to watch our favorite TV shows, and that's just the beginning. We did so many things together. And why was all of this important? Because becoming a physical therapist is not just about the knowledge we have gained, but it's about the people we have become and the other lessons we have learned along the way. And here are just a few. Lesson number 1. Sometimes all you need is a little nudge in the right direction. After our first few days of class in the program, we had a long 3-day weekend because of Labor Day. So we decided to have a little cookout at our house, to get to know each other a little better. And people started arriving, and everyone was really quiet, and the conversations were pretty awkward, very awkward. And then Bob showed up. Bob was late, but we'll forgive him because Bob was carrying a case of beer. And suddenly the ice had been broken. We all felt a little more relaxed. We got to know each other a little better. And I'm not saying that alcohol is a little nudge that we need in the right direction. Not at all. And this is just an example. What I am saying is that our professors have urged us to pick clinical sites that would challenge ourselves and to take advantage of opportunities to travel to other parts of the world. And our clinical instructors have challenged us to take on a larger caseload. And sometimes all we need is that little nudge to challenge ourselves and reach our full potential. And soon enough, we'll be the ones doing the nudging for our coworkers and friends, children, and maybe even students. Lesson number 2. Life is one giant group project. In our first year, we were introduced to the group project. And it really wasn't anything new. We'd done group projects in high school and undergrad before. But when we came back from our first clinical rotation as second-year students, it seemed like there was a list of group projects waiting for us. And then we found out that our second and third years will be full of group projects. And we groaned so loud you could have sworn our tuition had been raised by $10,000. We complained more about group projects than anything else in the program, hands down. Our schedules conflicted, we had too many other things to do. It was too hard to get organized, too hard to meet with professors, someone needed to take control of the group. But the reality is, we're going to be working with people for the rest of our lives. Our schedules will conflict, there will be too many other things to do. It will be hard to get organized, and someone will need to take control of the group. It's not going to get any easier, but we're prepared for it because we did it here already. Lesson number 3. Sometimes laughter is the best intervention. We've had our share of laughs together over the last few years. We all got a good laugh when Matt did a kickboxing routine in front of the class during a break and then proceeded to sit through the whole rest of the next class with his shirt off because he was sweaty and overheated. We laughed when Joe attempted to learn how to pop a wheelchair wheelie in front of the class. We laughed when Chris wore a full-body Winnie the Pooh suit to the Halloween party. And then Joe, Dean, and Dan all showed up to the same party wearing kids' pajamas that wouldn't fit my 9-year-old sister. And we laughed the hardest when, during a class presentation, Dan shared with us his money picture. And if you don't know what that is, you need to ask Dan after graduation. We all know how boring it can be to take a patient through an exercise program with, no laughing or joking around or conversation. And quite simply, it's boring for the patient too. Let's make use of our sense of humor. I know you all have one because you've used it here. Make physical therapy fun, interesting, and enjoyable for your patients because sometimes that's the best intervention. Lesson number 4, be flexible because change is inevitable. I can't count how many times we have faced change over the last 2.5 years. After 2 weeks, we got comfortable talking about the shoulder, and then it was off to the hip or the knee or whatever was next. And after 10 weeks at a clinical site, we got comfortable, and then it was back to class, and then it was off to the next clinical site. And for some of us, clinical sites changed last minute due to unforeseen circumstances, and we had to adjust our plans accordingly. And some of the biggest changes occurred outside of class. Ashley, Lindsay, Bob, Allison, Steph, and Derek all became engaged during their time here. Monica, Dave, and Lisa all tied the knot, and Alex and Charlie each welcomed a little guy into their lives. Change is all around us, and we're about to undergo one of the biggest changes of our lives, going from being a student to beginning our career as a physical therapist. And our career will be full of changes too. Changes in location and clinical setting, job title and responsibilities. It's all really scary to think about it now, but change isn't a bad thing. If you're standing still, you aren't going anywhere. If you stay the same, you're not improving yourself. We're all very different people than when we began this program, and that's a great thing. Be flexible and embrace it because change is inevitable. As Dan would say, things have not always been smooth as a bell over the last couple of years. But we've all stuck together. We've been surrounded by great people, our professors, clinical instructors, and most importantly, each other. I want to thank whoever was involved with admissions for our class because you really couldn't have done a better job. If you ask me, the one thing that defines a person's life the most is the impact he or she has on others. In this physical therapy program, we've been learning how to have a profound impact on not only our patients, but on everyone around us. I want to share with you an experience I had with a patient in my second clinical rotation. I obviously can't tell you his real name, but we'll call him Bill. And Bill was a pretty big guy, and 35 years as a police officer in Harrisburg had taken its toll on his knees. So I was seeing him a few weeks after having a knee replacement surgery in the outpatient setting. And throughout the whole initial evaluation, I could tell Bill was really nervous about the impending pain that would occur when I forcibly flexed his knee. You see, his surgeon had told him that his recovery and physical therapy process was going to be extremely painful and he was just going to have to endure it. I would have chosen nicer words, but he was honest at least. And I tried to help relax him by telling him it was probably a really bad joke, and he didn't really laugh, so it didn't help. And I did my best to reassure him that everything would be okay and that not everything was going to hurt, and I really wasn't sure I'd gotten through to him by the time he left. But he came back, and he kept coming back, and he never missed an appointment. And over the next few weeks, I really got to know him well. He had a great sarcastic personality, and I listened to him tell jokes and his police stories, and he listened to me go on and on about the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though he wasn't really a Steelers fan. And on the last day, he wore a pair of bright yellow and black Steelers pants just for me. And I sarcastically said to Bill that day while I was bending his knee, doing his range of motion, "You love coming to physical therapy, don't you, Bill?" And he looked at me dead serious, and he says, "I hate physical therapy. But I love coming here because of you." What's great about this story is not that it happened to me, but that all of you here can tell a similar story. We've learned about how to do manual muscle tests and range of motion, how to do a gait analysis and special tests. We could tell everyone here about effect sizes and a derotational osteotomy or the dorsal column medial meniscus, and so many other important physical therapy related things. But through our experiences with each other and all of those around us, we have learned nothing more important than how to be great people. And it's been a long time coming, but I think it's about time we share ourselves with the world. Congratulations, I love you all.